Welcome to 33 Founders, a series about founders of the coolest startups. Brought to you by 33 Voices and hosted by Chase Jennings and Jenna Abdu.
So the Indie Chicks is this kind of amazing thing that just happened. It's initially supposed to be an extension to my blog that was a dating and relationship site, which had really turned into to me, giving advice on the individual and saying, hey, you want to be in a successful relationship. It really starts inside you. You suck at this, so this is why this is happening to you. And essentially, all my advice started kind of being focused on the self. And the Indie Chicks was kind of this thing about the self. In the last 15 months that we've been live, we've gone through like a crazy migration and just development and flipping over of what we were doing, what we were offering, what our message was. So it's been a really intense journey in the branding and development and content strategy. And the one thing that's really held through the entire thing has been the sense of badassery and just kicking ass at everything you do in life and being an amazing individual, well-rounded, educated, confident, and our new tagline, fearlessly defined, which is essentially the Indie Chicks.
So how does that slogan empower the Indie Chicks community?
Well, in and of itself, we rebranded earlier this year. So fearlessly defined is really kind of the outcome of the past year and what we've watched this brand develop into. Fearlessly defined, as an individual, you just face so many obstacles in life. And, our big focus is, of course, our target is women. So as a woman, I wake up and I'm me. But within seconds, I become someone's wife. I become someone's mother. I become someone's colleague, sister, whatever. And it's just so easy for women to lose themselves in the thousands of hats that are being kind of tossed at them. Some of them, some of which they don't even choose. And, there's suddenly something else to someone else. So you lose the sense of self and the definition of self. So fearlessly defined is kind of encompasses who you are, what you want to be, your past, no shame in your game, no regrets, just kind of this is what brought me to who I am, and this is where I want to go. So you're either with me or you're not, and kind of making that okay. So that's really the message that really our community has defined for itself.
Well, I think that the community is really gravitating towards that. I know when I first stumbled on the site, it just makes you feel good to see that
That's
content.
Our goal.
And I know one of the biggest challenges for startups is acquiring users. But in the past 15 months, you guys haven't, at least it doesn't look like it from the outside, struggled with that at all, with 35,000 people subscribing to your newsletter and over 20,000 Twitter followers. How do you get users to your site? And then more importantly, how do you keep them coming back?
This is the secret. I mean, this is something that every blogger, every website owner, everyone wants to reach. It's not only getting the traffic, but more importantly, retaining that traffic and getting that, visitor to come back and really trust you as, a credible source for whatever you're offering. We've got a mixture of just an awesome message, first of all, that really hits home with a lot of people. We're niche focused in the sense that you need to have that badass or want that badass sense of self. But really, you could be an entrepreneur, but you could be a 9-to-5er, you could be a stay-at-home mom, you could be whatever the hell you want. And I think tying that, finding the secret to finding something niched yet broad and welcoming is fundamentally important, at least where we're coming from. There's a mix of social media marketing that has definitely been implemented within the team. I started as a social media marketer back in the day when no one could get on Facebook unless you were in college, which was, back in the Myspace days before they tanked, at Universal Music. And there was a lot that I learned as an intern and then, eventually as a project manager with them that really applied the importance of this blossoming social media marketing. I mean, this is still when people were like, I don't know if it really matters. And then with the, blossoming of all these different platforms and all the benefits at each one, the secret, I think, is implementing a strategy per platform, see what works with each platform. So for example, with us, our Twitter following is massive. We have like 25,000 followers. What do we do to get that? We continue to offer them advice, tips. We engage, we ask questions, and then we stay and listen to the answers. So there's a lot of different ways that you excel in each platform. And I think the secret to any online entity is really to, finding what works for your niche, for your market, and for each platform. Then the user retention, that's obviously the hardest. We're still kind of in a process of seeing what works and identifying our reader really as well as possible, because we've got some really secret fun stuff that's coming up that I'd be more than happy to talk to you guys about as well. But that's definitely the hard. It's really, really hard. And you got to pull, you got to ask your readers, you got to, continue to offer valuable content without asking for stuff in return. I think that's one big thing that any guru, any, entrepreneur, anyone will tell you: give, 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 give. And then when you ask, sometimes people give back. That's just kind of how it goes.
So another kind of common challenge with startups is actually getting their content out, and that's especially when you have so much content to put out. So what's your strategy in choosing what you want to promote?
So funny. Well, as you guys see, we are pretty we won't go to sleep if there's nothing planned to be published the following day. So whoever's on the team that has less crap to do that night, you better write something and spit it out. The reason that we started with such a bang at the beginning, at launch, was I kind of used my name in the blogosphere and reached out to other bloggers. And I've done so many favors for bloggers, and I still do. We still do. You got something awesome to promote, we support you. We're very blogger oriented. So specifically for us, we've been able to rely on guest contributors for the most part. At least that drove our, our content strategy. We saw what worked, what didn't. Some articles that we tried that went out live, we were just like, we would all sit at the end of the day and be like, we're so embarrassed. We can't believe we let that go live. We're like, oh my God, I hope no one holds that against us. We've had some really embarrassing ones, but we left them on for, just to laugh about it. For the most part though, now, as we focus on our branding and our content strategy, we're really toughening up on guest contributions, on submissions. Our entire staff is in charge of writing now, until we get to the point that we can hire people that we know will do our brand justice. We're really putting focus on our own, because we can hold ourselves accountable. Somebody submits something and contributes and it's off, as long as we have our own strategy, keeping and the cohesive message of our brand, that's really what matters.
Absolutely. And just speaking of that strategy, Chiara, you guys have a lot of different sections and series on the site with tons of different contributors. How do you evaluate what content is going to stay and what content is going to go? How do you decide which series to keep? Because Motivation Monday is my favorite, so you can't take that off.
You know what's so funny actually about Motivation Monday? By all our standards, our technical standards, we should take it off. No one comments on it. No one shares it.
That's my favorite one.
But that's the thing. It's people's favorites. They don't, you know what I mean? So it took us actually a while to think, okay, maybe there's going to be exceptions to the standards. So we may have, we need series to hit home with this amount of shares or this amount of, comments or whatever. We'll usually run something for a couple weeks to just kind of make sure. But for the most part, we've dropped a lot of stuff that we've had going. We had Sexy Saturdays that just got out of hand, and it was just not bringing targeted traffic to our website and making our readers feel a little awkward. And so we pulled back on that and kind of reassessed our sex strategy. Motivation Monday. It's so funny. It's such an awesome thing. It gets us going for the week. and so we have to keep it despite the lack of engagement. For the most part, though, we've kind of implemented this strategy that we really want our series to bring value to our readers, period. Nothing in return. So our new indie confessional is so much fun. Like, people come in and literally say things like, I'm in love with my husband's best friend, and it's like, oh, how long have you been waiting to spit that one out? And like, our blog carnival, which, helps bloggers put their recent articles up and expose them to other bloggers, meet other bloggers. I mean, we just started a invite-only Facebook group, which is pretty great and huge, and it's to bring that value, because that's how me and my senior editor actually met, through a group like that. So we really encourage, anything that brings value to our readers. Those are really the series. Categories themselves, it's kind of a hit or miss. Like, we're inching towards getting rid of our fiction section, and we have one of our indie chicks, maybe one of our readers, community members, might be starting something on her own for fiction. So we might want to collaborate with her in some way, not directly, So we kind of have to get creative. Some things work, and some things just are. We've had some really bad failures. So hey.
When you do get rid of the fiction section, I mean, what exactly has to happen for you to let go of it? Is it based on user feedback?
First, because we are so emotionally invested in this project, as I'm assuming most people are in there, especially like online magazines. I mean, we are a very hardworking team, all-nighters here. I mean, it's bad. 4-hour-long meetings every week. I mean, they're intense. We will first take a section or a series or whatever it is and do whatever we can to salvage it. So if we think, well, maybe if we start, so right now we're in this process where we're considering sending out prompts for fiction and then having people submit their articles and stuff, or their stories, and find out which one's best, and then link to it and do maybe we'll do what we can to squeeze, what we can out of it, because we are supportive of indie writers. I'm an indie author. So, that is huge for us. But if it doesn't work, because at the same time we have to think about our readers. If they're not coming to read it, then, we're wasting valuable space, time. It takes time to do the graphics and edit, and it's just, we don't have that. Nobody has time for that right now.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And that has been said one too many times in this group. Within the last 2 weeks, we had a couple of really intense things happen within the company structure, people leaving, people coming, and there's been a lot of that.
When you have that time of change, and sometimes if a section doesn't work, you can for me personally, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do that this didn't work? And I feel like it's a big failure for myself. How do you personally deal with failure and then look ahead?
Oh, that is such a good question, and applicable to like everything. We had to come to terms with the fact that our entire magazine was failing in January. That was very hard for us. Our numbers were great, but we knew our brand was either going to or very close to failing. We had to pull back on all things marketing and everything. We rebranded the entire site, redesigned it. And I have kind of guide a lot of first through it, coaching them, being like, I know this is scary. I know this is very scary, but trust me, we're going to see a benefit, in 6 months, 3 to 6 months. I think it's really important for startups or anyone starting anything to give themselves that room to try and allow yourself to fail. So basically, instead of being like, hey, failure is okay. No, you're about to dive into something crazy. So before you do, go put your pillows on the floor, set up a nice little cushion, and then go blindfold yourself and just have faith. And then sometimes you'll miss the pillows and you'll break your nose throughout the process. And then sometimes you'll land on those pillows. So for the most part, it's allowing yourself that, which I, again, think it's very different than just than being okay with failure. You have to prepare yourself ahead of time, and know that the benefit is better. For the most part, we've had to laugh it off. You got to keep going. You laugh some of the things that we were just so stoked on, just like people were literally like, listen, if this is what's going to be, like, I'm not an indie chick anymore. I don't want to be a reader anymore. And it's just like, we put like 19 hours into this campaign or whatever, got to let it go, shake it off. And, it helps to focus on your victories, as, hard as it may be sometimes. You got to focus, maybe your numbers are great, or maybe another series hit home really well, whatever it may be. It's just kind of inevitable. If you don't fail, like, you're really not doing it right. You're really not.
I think that's the best piece of advice I've gotten in a long time.
Good. And you can text message me, email me if you ever need it over and over and over again, because trust me, we're experiencing it over and over and over again.
So let's talk about, though, you obviously deal with failure as a part of, we all deal with failure as a part of everything we do, but you've had immense success in the past few years in a wide range of different business ventures, whether you're working on graphic design, I know you guys have J House, or writing blog posts or writing books, building Indie Chicks, you're constantly doing different things. For you, how do you define success in your life?
So success is subjective, honestly. I think a better way to gauge success is happiness. And I, for one, I worked as a waitress and a bartender for 8 years of my life. So I got a lot of knowledge for material for whatever I was going to write, in the future through that. But I was never okay with it. I was never okay. I did the 9 to 5, and even entering a 9 to 5 situation, I came in as like some sort of assistant, and I built an entire department and hired interns for myself within 2 weeks. I was like, meh, like I've got like the leadership bug, and I just like can't. The problem there is that there's a ceiling. And for me, I am a firm believer, I have it even in my bio. I mean, like, reach for the sky. When you reach it, keep going, because you create your own ceiling. So success is really subjective. I kind of dove headfirst into blogging. I actually wrote in, at first it was kind of about my own experiences. I went through some pretty severe, and I actually talk about them in my book. I was raped when I was 15. So went through a lot when I was really young. I had some awesome, this guy's like one of my best friends now, but when I was with him at 15, he like cheated on me with a bunch of my friends. I mean, it was like traumatic for like a tween almost, So I had this kind of blog that I just, kind of spat things out of. And then in one article, I decided to write a blog post about sometimes cheating is justified, and like it like got shared and reshared, and it was written terribly. I actually ended up having to rewrite it because it was back like before you ever start writing and you're like dotting because you don't know how to use a comma. So like dots just come in so handy, when you're just yeah, to everyone, and now it's okay, especially, I mean, we don't allow that on the Indie Chicks, but if it's a personal blog, like, who cares? Like, your life away. Only that post actually got shared and reshared, and I was like, oh my God. So if I ever want to be a writer, I need to like polish this up. Eventually people started emailing me for help. So I kind of realized that the high of getting recognized for something that I was doing all on my own, I was like addicted to it, and I just needed to have it. So to me, I gauge success by figuring out what it is that gives you that high, and then just doing everything you can to do it. Even though I am not anywhere near where I want to be successfully, you know what I mean? I am so successful in what I'm doing. I was able to write a book while I was pregnant, and, in my son's first 3 months of life. I was able to start the Indie Chicks, and I was able to teach myself graphic design and web design, because that also happened for me because I started, like, for some reason, I love code. Like, I'm a really mathematically, like, organized brain, and that's why I think some women just don't get me. Like, yeah, I relate really well to men. I'm very mathematical, love math, aced my way, like, no problem. I was like, this is so easy. So for me, code was just like, I was like, oh, cool. Like, started with Myspace, like, back when, like, they made their generators, like, you could do cool little backgrounds. Like, some people totally know what I'm, right? Like, you know.
He knows what you're talking about.
And you totally, like, you're like, oh my God, so wait a second. Black is #000, whatever. And you're like, and I just do that, and then this turns black. Ooh. So it was like, entry result, and I got a high off of that. So I started playing around with my own website, and then inevitably my blogger friends were like, dude, your site is sick, can you do it to me? I was like, okay. And then eventually I was like, I gotta pay, I gotta charge you, like, love you, BFFs for life, but I don't have food on my table, so you gotta pay me now. And so that's kind of how it started. And I mean, it's nonstop. Everything is nonstop.
So no matter what kind of success you have and how you define it for yourself, it always is a matter of who you surround yourself with. So in terms of your team, what are the most important qualities that you look for in people?
That's very interesting. I've done a lot of hiring. I've done a lot of leading. I've, led departments and this and that. And there's always a lot that I see fall on me as someone who's guiding a group, because you get someone in the right situation, you get someone whose passion deep within is just like, you throw a knife at it with the project. You have a lot of people have the potential to be amazing team members, and make and contribute value to whatever project you're doing. My team is beyond amazing. We just had somebody leave us, who was with us for a very long time, and it was hard to see her go. She's going on and doing her own things, but in the same respect, we brought somebody on who's like changed the whole dynamic, who's just like this really powerful marketing chick who's just like so hardcore and like really energetic. What I love most about our team is we have to be able to work together. So there's a very strong sense of respect that I personally promote. Meet your deadlines if you have a deadline, not because, oh, God forbid, our entire company will collapse if you don't get something in, but have respect for your teammates who are pulling all-nighters to make those deadlines, because that's not fair. If you went out and partied or whatever, or you chose to watch Gossip Girl instead of whatever your option, before, whatever, not, disclosing anything about our group. But, I will say that there's so much loyalty. There's a lot of respect. We communicate all day, every day. So we have a Facebook staff group that's private. And we, even if you're running errands or whatever, your 9 to 5 or whatever is taking up time right now, stay in constant communication. The creativity, there's got to be room for everyone on the team to really get ideas going and, have the ability to execute whatever campaigns they come up with. We meet once a week, 4 hours on Sundays. We are there with our side ponytails and smeared mascaras from the weekend and, wine and beer, and we go at it like hardcore, So there's a definite need for work ethic, I think. It's really important.
On that note, with your team too, you're constantly, especially with a site like the Indie Chicks where content is constantly being uploaded and things are always changing, someone has to oversee that. And fortunately for all of your readers, that's you. But I totally get that is I can't even imagine the kind of undertaking that is.
Believe it or not, actually, I do the major overseeing, but the real overseeing is done by the members of our editorial team. I have a senior editor and her assistant editor who, bless those hearts, because, we specifically say on the site too, like, please, like, no submissions for, already written articles, for example, because we are really focused on our content strategy right now. And it's just, sometimes they like come back like, you'll never believe the post that I just received and had to like spend an hour reading, editing, whatever, those girls work really, really hard. For the most part, every aspect of the team's work is really, really hard. Like everything we do is very labor intensive. And when I say to you guys that we do a lot of all-nighters, late nights, early mornings, publishing related freakouts where like posts don't go live and like people like are updating from the gym. It's like pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, but it is definitely a lot for us, especially because we all have something else going on. One of the girls has her own business. Another girl is currently a nanny. Another one has a 9 to 5 in a legit company in LA. Like, we're busy women. Like, so it's a lot of work.
How do you keep them, so as a manager though, as overseeing everything, how do you keep everyone on track, especially when there's so many distractions?
By lots and lots of Nazi-like emails. Everyone will tell you, I am an email whore. You
So am
can
I.
feel free to edit that out. I literally, my emails to people are bullet pointed. They are bolded and underlined, and we have Google Docs, that are mandatory have to update them at all times. Like we have assignments, weekly assignments, deadlines. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is like a legitimate like magazine. There's no time. No one has time for that. Like literally, there is no time for people like disappearing or anything. So we kind of keep everything honed in. We have meeting dockets. So every week we have bullet points we go through. Everyone presents their campaigns, their platforms, whatever they're working on. We work on personal branding. And a lot of our actual team, which I love about this team, is that this is a learning environment for us. A lot for me as a leader, but mostly also for blogging. I mean, we're constantly reading, staying updated with the recent, whatever social media platform crap comes out. We always have to stay updated with it. So it's a learning process for everybody.
So how do you motivate your team then? Is it being like a Nazi in your emails, or like you?
Okay, first of all, I need to clarify because you guys don't actually receive the emails, and if I say Nazi emails, it's not like as funny as the inside joke is, like with my friends. I'm like, Jesus, slave driver. No, actually, it's very much like my old dating site was very reality slap. That's basically what it was. It's like, here's the situation. So, with our team, we've got this awesome project, something magical. We have visitors, like, we actually have people coming to our website and we're in the eye, they can see us. If you don't want to be in this, then get out. If you want this, then give it your all, period. So yes, the Nazi-like emails are very like organized and authoritative in the sense that this is what you need to do and this is when it needs to be done by. But at the end of it, it's like, now let's kick some ass. Let's go get our business up and running. Let's practice what we preach and be badasses in all things life. And let's all quit our day jobs and get rich, So that's kind of the motivation that we got going at this point.
I can't tell you how much I love that. That's awesome.
It's the way to go, man. I had my 9-to-5s or the bosses just like, you really gotta get this up and running. It's like, why? So I could go die in a grave? Like, come on. Like, oh, give me a reason. And that's really what, this is. This is our baby. This is something that we really are investing a lot of our time in for a reason. Like, why would you back out now? Give it your all or go home. I don't want you. So
I love that motto.
Yeah.
Something you guys are doing really great, and I'm sure all of your team members are involved in it, is user engagement. Like we said, you guys are always getting comments, 35,000 plus getting your newsletter, 25,000 Twitter followers. That's, especially for only 15 months, that's really an incredible testament to what you're doing and how great your content is. What's the most important thing you've learned about engaging with your users? One thing that, we focus on our comments a lot, and also on our social media. There's a lot of, if you guys ever look through our actual Twitter profile, we're very strong. Like, we respond to tweets by using the tweeter's name. We always actually like humanize it. Let's you are a person, you are a member of our community. We're welcoming you in. I think when you are writing articles and whatever you're presenting at all, it needs to display a sense of understanding and connection. So I'm connecting to you as a young woman, as somebody who, and I'm talking to you. And I know that though I may not know you, you're here for a reason. So I need to take whatever it is that connects us and just punch it and make it come to life so that you feel that there's no other reason, there's no other way than leaving a comment, than engaging, So yeah, you're going to always see online, like on, all blogging magazines, they'll always tell you, ask a question, give your readers an assignment. There's a lot of crap out there. And that's, for the most part, asking your readers a question, you're kind of forcing them to reply.
But at the end of the day, I think if you talk about the right stuff, I know for a fact there's some things I read that I'm just like, I can't comment, so I'll pull over in the car. Like I'll be like, I gotta say something here. So getting that going, I think is really important. And again, I think that's really part of isolating your niche and understanding who you're writing for.
So once you guys exceed J Beebs and Gaga on Twitter and everything, how do you plan to keep that human element as you grow?
Okay, so can I talk about what we've got brewing now?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that's kind of part of it. So we're in the very, very beginning stages of planning a moderately sized conference. So our entire website, our entire team, we've really thrived in our accessibility. You can personally add me on Facebook. You can message me on Facebook. Email me all the time. Like, if you tweet me, I answer. And that's really something that we're, because we have these branches to our trunk, we work a lot on personal branding for each team member so that network continues to grow outside of the company. And I think that's a very valuable thing for all startups to do, is focus on that personal branding. What value is that one person bringing to the whole, and to grow that, and then let that blossom on its own and establish even more credibility. So our plans right now is kind of to extend that accessibility into a weekend long conference here in New York City, where we're talking about the details, and the different workshops and this and that. But the whole thing is going to be that self-empowerment. So the message for our website is just going to be this electric energy for wherever you're going. I mean, we're going to have business, we're going to have health and fitness, we're going to have that all. But that self-empowerment and that badassery is going to be present in every single workshop. So that's really where we're going to go. And we're going to be not only speaking, but we're going to be floating around. We're going to be literally, that's what I love. Like we had our, little mini indie chick event this past weekend, and we got to know people. Like we were able to really put ourselves out there. And we always do that. Every now and then we'll just put out tweets and be like, tweet one of our personal accounts. Like we're here, email us, you can access any of us through our contact forms. So.
On that personal note, how important is it, do you think it is, to attach yourself to your work? I mean, kind of when we're tweeting, for instance, we'll tweet out advice, but it's kind of from this ominous, all-knowing something. Should we say it's coming from us? Honestly,
yeah. Because at this point, it's not the beginning anymore. Back when, Twitter started, and I was in social media marketing back when people were developing. Anyone that came out with a freaking Secrets to Twitter book was like a god, It was like, how do I get these followers? The problem is that whole establish yourself as an expert and offer value to your followers is now kind of, everyone does it. So what we do at the Indie Chicks, we do a variety. We do quotes from powerful women. We have, Liz Taylor, Eleanor Roosevelt. We have just all these powerful women, tweetable tweets. People feel that empowerment when they read them. They're all still niched. We're not just tweeting a random chick, just because she's a chick. But we also tweet our own stuff, because then comes the now mandatory second step to isolating yourself and your brand. And, as great as the Indie Chicks is, there are a lot of other websites that are just not anywhere, near our online presence yet, but they're preaching close to the same stuff, that powerful. And, they reach out to us and we do what we can to help boost them. But at the end of the day, it's isolating what sets you apart and then offering that in a tight little package. So, you guys, you're going to have, if the second this blows up to the kind of, level where you foresee it going, another adorable couple is going to be like, oh my God, we should do that, but do this instead. So it doesn't mean that it's competition. You're still going to be different, because no two people are alike. So you need to figure out exactly what sets you apart. Just the more you niche and more you focus, and then just package it and then toss it everywhere. Let everyone know about it nonstop. And then people actually will see and be able to isolate that as unique and valuable to you. And that's when you get that loyal readership and that loyal following.
You guys are just doing so great in everything that you're doing with that, and I can honestly say that this has been the most amazing conversation. I feel like I have so many ideas running in my head.
Good. This is what we want. Like, we want all indie chicks to, like, you know, just leave an article or leave a conversation. I mean, we've had some reach out to us and ask us specifically to mentor them. We have one, you know, someone that's going off and starting something, and she needed our help and advice on something. We were like, yeah, I'm like, it's going to have to be after I put my kid to sleep. Let's do it. We went on to a Google Plus hangout and just helped her, and we just like got her juices flowing, because this is kind of what we do for one another, you know, every week. So we know the power. We leave each meeting just being like, oh, we're gonna conquer the world, like literally, like can't go to sleep because your heart's pumping kind of thing. So anything, that's really what we aim to do to our readers and anyone that actually, you know, relates to our message.
Do you have a personal mentor?
I'm getting there. There's a lot of people I admire, but I think I'm such a do-it-yourselfer that it took me a while to admit, you know, that there are things that I want to either replicate or people I admire and want to become in one way or another, because I'm so gung-ho on being independent and being myself and flourishing as an individual. That's not to say, however, that there aren't people that I genuinely like read religiously, you know, subscribe to, believe in every which way, and if I was able to, would absolutely talk to them. But if you're asking me to name them, I can't, because I think I also won't allow myself to fall that deeply in love with someone, because then I'll feel that it'll not misguide necessarily, but, you know, skew and kind of affect my mission and my vision in a way that wouldn't be my own anymore. And it's different when you're working with a team, because we all bounce off each other and we grow together. But as somebody who's, you know, not, you know, in the indie chicks, or it's just a general kind of thing, I don't want to replicate that. I know it's weird. It's very weird, but.
I completely. Talking about the self for a second then, looking back on these past 15 months, how do you think you've personally changed as you've grown Indie Chicks?
Oh my God, more than I have the other 25 years of my life. I honestly, this has been one thing that, you know, I talk about accessibility for our team, but also there's a lot of, if you really read us and you read the articles written by our actual staff members, some of them are really, they expose a lot of vulnerability. You know, a lot of, like, I wrote one, classified, I'm looking for a friend. You know, so in it, I talk about how I have a whole bunch of awesome friends, but I don't have that friend. Like the one that I see on TV that just like shows up with wine and like says, yeah, I'll watch your kid go shower and do whatever, you know, like I don't have that. And there's a lot of vulnerability. So I think it's also really important, you know, when you're looking at all the advice we get is like, establish yourself as an expert. But the truth is, we're a startup, we're entrepreneurs, we're women who are getting all those hats thrown our way. You know, I think that's what really makes us different, is the fact that, no, I'm not telling you exactly how, like, I know all the 12 steps you need to get to there. I'm like, we can tell you 9 steps, and then when you're done with those 9 steps, we'll probably have the other 3 figured out. You know, but we're doing this along with you. You know, we're still 9-to-5ers and, you know, taking care of our children or whatever. So I think personally, you know, I've gotten involved in a lot of projects. I have speaking. I'm going to be speaking at an event this fall in Austin. I'm in talks with Google for a Google Plus talk show with one of my fellow awesome masterminds that I'm so madly in love with, the Fit Femme, and, you know, and who's also going to be working on our conference. So there's like this group of women of like, we're there right before you really get that peak. And for myself, like watching my growth, not only as a mother and, you know, how that's really come into play with, you know, being a wife and mother and stuff, but as someone who realized, like, I didn't even know entrepreneurs existed. I mean, that was, you know, I grew up in LA. Most people in LA are either born on money, you know, or whatever, or don't care about it or throw it away or whatever. And then then you just see some successful people that you're not really sure how they got to where they are, but there's a lack of accessibility in that factor in Los Angeles. Now, being in New York, there's a whole other vibe of entrepreneurship and just that power hustle all the time. There's a very big difference in the coasts and the environments. And I've seen myself adapt and respond to the New York, that power, that go, go, go. So I've kind of been able to find myself in the process and realize that not only do I love leading teams, but I'm watching my baby grow. I'm watching my this little idea just blossom into something magnificent and changing people. I mean, the best is when we get our, comments or emails being like, you guys helped me so much, or like that one article about this really hit home. I'm in this situation and you guys just gave me the power to quit, or we're we hope that you have a backup, or at least don't go sell your body. But there's so much that I love seeing this little baby, and there's a great sense of pride, I think. Definitely.
Talking about that growth, if you can even imagine it right now, because I think this will get even bigger than you think, what is your biggest dream for the Indie Chicks?
Honestly, we do have big dreams. Actually tangible. We're looking at this annual conference. This is something that is going to really put us from screen to whatever, floor, whatever, face to face, whatever it is. We also have dreams of working with nonprofits, and doing benefit concerts for women-related charities. We also have dreams for an indie publishing house. We have a lot of stuff that's in the works that we know we need to do and want to get to. But we're taking our time with it, because as we've noticed, again, giving yourself that room has been what I've seen serve us well. Because I've already seen little mini indie chick wannabes, come up and I see them, and I'm not like, hey, don't copy me. No, go ahead, copy me, because inevitably you're going to blossom into something slightly different and bring something slightly, different to whatever reader. And then if, you steal one of our readers, God forbid, but for the most part, there's a really big, I think just looking forward is our main goal. Right now it's just kind of taking what we have, amplifying it, perfecting it, and then just combusting everywhere. Just of every, we also are going to be starting an indie market where we select indie artists to produce our merchandise. So it's going to be more boutique-ish as opposed to a t-shirt that's indie check, cool, So we've got a lot of plans, and I mean, we're not slowing down. They're really, really speeding up. So it's really exciting.